DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
All right, everybody. Fresh Takes with Russo and Felice. I am Paul Russo, joined as always by Nick Felice. This is usually one of our quieter shows, as I call it. It's a pretty quiet-ish.
The Pro Bowl edition.
Pro Bowl games edition. But yeah, we'll talk obviously the Super Bowl if you wanted, as I'm dubbing it. Obviously, most of the preview stuff right next week. There's not a ton, but we'll recap obviously the games from this past weekend, and then we'll just kind of whip around any kind of major headlines to kind of talk about. We'll touch on. But Nick, good seeing you. How's it going?
Usually the NHL All-Star game is this weekend as well.
That's true.
There is none this year.
We got the Four Nations Cup.
That's coming up soon.
Yep.
Next month, 3 weeks long. So yeah, not much going on. Still trying to digest Notre Dame losing the national championship game. We're less than 50 days to the Tokyo series. I think that's what they're calling it. Cubs,
something like
Dodgers.
that. Yeah.
The unofficial, I guess, or official. I guess it's the official start of the MLB season. Looking forward to that. Pitchers and catchers, not too far wrong. Battle at Bowman something this weekend.
Bowman Gray, yeah, the clash at the Coliseum.
I know my stuff this year, but should be fun.
Yeah.
Next Thursday, we'll have a show before that, but it's the Hall of Fame announcement for the NFL. Looking forward to that. Could be a big day for Eli Manning.
Yeah.
I think it's a first ballot.
Yeah, hopefully. So we'll get to all that and more. I think a couple of our sponsors quick here, including how about Chichinos? Is that better? I think I finally got it.
I don't know what you just said.
Yeah. Chichinos Pizzeria and Restaurant. You can visit them at their original Waterloo location or the all-new renovated location in Geneva. Dine in, takeout, delivery, catering, and banquets. You can order online at chichinos.com. Live, laugh, and eat well. It's the Italian way. And Blush by CV Designs, local woman-owned business. Heart of the Finger Lakes, offering women's clothing and accessories, quality home goods, and unique gifts. See what everyone's talking about by visiting their location downtown Seneca Falls or browse all of their products online at shopcvdesigns.com. And I can't recommend them enough. A couple weeks from now, Nick, for those who are in it, Valentine's Day. So,
oh yeah,
head on down there.
You gotta get the Groundhog's Day
head
first.
On down there. That's true. Yeah, we got that.
But they're both great holidays.
Yeah. So, let's get into it. I guess we'll start with the NFC only because that game was first. Philadelphia just pretty much rolls Washington.
Yeah.
I had sad boy hours for a while, and it's interesting because, like my dad said to me, for example, you didn't expect to be here. Anything at this point's icing on the cake. I'm like, yeah, but you get to that point still, though. As I said, you want to get it across the finish line. No. And I hate phrasing it this way, but you don't know if that's the furthest you're going to see your team ever get to. In that sense, I've gotten lucky, right? Baseball-wise, I've seen, obviously, the Yankees and the Heat with basketball and the Lightning with hockey and hell, even in racing, like Jeff Gordon back in the day and stuff like that. But, football's the one sport for me where I don't have that experience. And, man, selfishly, I really want it. But it was a good year for Washington, obviously. For Philly, it's weird because I remember this it wasn't the exact start of the year. Because obviously the start of the year for them was rough. And I'm still calling for Sirianni's head. That's a different discussion. But we got to the midway point of the season, and for as much as the offense was struggling, we kind of had a general idea that defense was actually,
better.
Pretty damn good. And I think that was really the difference in that game on Sunday against Washington. The offense obviously showed up. Saquon Barkley obviously really showed out again. But I don't think Washington has to play a way that they had to play, and then obviously that defense kind of feasts in the way that they got to feast. If not for the fact that, the offense was rolling, and Washington was just playing from behind after the first 8 minutes of the game.
Washington, they have some holes to fix on the defensive side of the ball, but, it's great season. I mean, you were never, ever going to guess that week one that they'd be in the NFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's an unbelievable season. That's just what's so great about the NFL is, which I don't get why people rag on these teams for so long. It's the one sport, and I know you kind of push back on this, but I say it's the one sport that you can turn a team around in 1 year into a championship contender out of all the four major sports. It's just the one where it's like you get a good draft, you do some good things in the offseason, get some better coaches in there, whatever it takes. It's the one sport where you can really turn around in 1 year. It's like, I mean, not to throw my Giants out there as an example, but I'm gonna. And I would say about week one, sure, they might think Washington was better. Very similar comparisons they were saying about Giants-Washington. They were like, 4, 5, 6 wins.
Right.
Very similar coming into the season. Who's to say Giants can't make a jump like Washington did this year? I mean, that's just how I feel. And Washington made that big jump this year. They were the team that was bad last year and got good this year. Mm-hmm. On the flip side of that, I know how you're feeling. I wasn't live for all 20 years, but the Pirates, my Pittsburgh Pirates, did not win a playoff game for 20 years. And when they did get beat by the Cardinals in Game 5 and the NLDS that year in 2013, I was like, I'm disappointed. Obviously, we didn't cross the finish line, like you said, but it's like the future is so bright. Unfortunately, the future was bright for 2 years. It's just a wild card game was in there and ruined our chances. But it's just that feeling, though. It's like, yes, we're disappointed. We didn't win it. But the future is so bright. And how, you got to be, super excited for September to come around because Washington's got a bright future, and they could be a very special year next year.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to be excited about next year.
Well, I mean, it's going to be a tougher schedule inherently, but that's for a podcast in August or so, I'd say.
Syracuse football got a tough schedule, too.
Yeah.
And they're going to prove them wrong.
Hopefully. Is Saquon Barkley going to be just the outright best player in the Super Bowl? Because, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I think, I don't go sound like a homerish take. I do think that first run that he had, a little bit overhyped if you just look at the absolute dog water tackling that Washington had in that series. But, I mean, this dude's now on, I know we can talk a whole season perspective on him. I get it. But, I mean, the run that he's currently on in the past month, I mean, it's nuts. I mean, it's crazy. I don't think.
It is unbelievable.
Maybe like Sean Alexander back in 2007 or whatever it was might be the closest thing to it, but in terms of just damn, look at this dude.
He's literally carrying him.
Well, I mean, it's kind of crazy how I mean, it's just nuts to watch visually, and it will be interesting because the Chiefs are much better against the run than obviously Washington is in that sense. Again, but that's probably more for next week than this week. It's just kind of crazy that this dude has made the difference that he's kind of made for this team that a lot of people still had in high regard going into this year anyway.
Yeah, I will admit I was wrong. Saquon Barkley was on my do not draft list in fantasy football this year because of what I saw the last few years and him being injury prone as well, and he stayed healthy this year. Mm-hmm. And how do you stop him if you're the Chiefs? You put a Giants uniform on him. That's one.
Send the house.
You put that Giants offensive line in front of him again. That shows you as well. You're only as good as your offensive line. I've always been a big part of that. And I mean, look at the backup there. He was even running the ball in Washington there. So, but Saquon's a very special running back. And as it pains me, yeah, I don't know how our GM and coach still have a job with the Giants after what's going on, and he's really sticking it to the Giants. Everything he's done this year, I mean, he could have really stuck to it if he played that last week, which he did want to play. They just sat him, but and I mean, there's part of me like, yeah, I'm happy for him. He's doing what he's reached his potential, but the other part of me, he's a traitor. Like, you don't go to Philly.
Yeah.
You talk about New York and Philadelphia do not like each other in sports. They really do not like each other in the NFL. Giants, Eagles, you don't do that. He's a traitor, and it does pain me to see him do so well. Unfortunately, he's got another tough task in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Chiefs go out. It's weird because, like, I'm not a Bills guy, really. I am a Josh Allen guy. I'm not a Bills guy. I never thought I'd be really disappointed one way or another in that game, the way some people were acting. But damn, did I not feel kind of, like, weirdly disappointed at the end of the game.
I mean,
it's a weird feeling, right? I think, and maybe this is something we can obviously get a little more into. I do think there's a legitimate element of, like, fatigue going on here for both teams, to be quite honest, especially on the Chiefs side of things, where it's like, oh, God, can it be just somebody else right now, you know?
Yeah, they've made, 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Pretty much every podcast we've had, we've been talking about the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Next year.
We've had, 7 Super Bowls we've discussed on this podcast. 4 of them have been Eagles, Chiefs, and Niners, Chiefs.
Yeah.
Not too like, thrilling games, but, yeah, the Chiefs looking to win all 4 of those games in a couple weeks here. So, I'm just not surprised anymore. They know how to win football games. When they won that game, I was like, the Chiefs are going to find some way, somehow, they're going to win this game. You could say this is the worst Chiefs team we've seen out of this dynasty, but yet it's the best record.
Yeah.
This team is what? They were 15-2. They won 2, 17-2 going into this Super Bowl. 17-2. That's one of the greatest records to ever play in the Super Bowl. And, oh, man. Yes, it sucks for the Bills, but Josh Allen, they always like to compare Josh Allen for Patrick Mahomes, but they don't play each other. They don't play on the field at the same time, but you can compare it. They're playing against each other's defenses, and, the Chiefs defense showed up when it mattered. Josh Allen had a chance. They kicked the field goal, 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
Josh Allen had his chance, and the Chiefs defense stepped up.
So, I want to go back to Josh Allen for a second here.
Yes,
Because
he's still dating Haley.
Engaged. It's weird that Bills fans, for the most part, it's interesting because there is a few now fully talking about this. Would you say in your mind, before I go into this a little bit more, in your mind, did you think Josh Allen looked like Josh Allen all year Sunday?
He started off a little slow. Some of those throws.
I'm talking the whole game though. Did he play the way that he's played all year to you?
At some points.
But overall?
Overall, no.
Okay. It seemed to me, it's kind of funny because I was in a text group too about somebody who was like, he was playing too selfishly. I'm like, I would make the argument that he was playing too unselfishly, actually. He played a lot like what we were complaining about for the Bills early last season in 2023 when Ken Dorsey was the offensive coordinator. There was a lot of in the pocket. He wasn't, not that like he was, not like when he scrambles, he's forcing to make a play or anything like that. But like, he wasn't taking advantage of what makes him good and what makes him great. Very tentative, very whatever. And I don't know if that's more on, say, the Chiefs and Spagnuolo, where they just had a really great game plan and that's just the way it was. You know what I mean? Or what? But even then, if that's the case, it just seemed like he fell into this groove where him and Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, fell into this groove of this is what it is. We aren't deviating from it, and we will go down with the ship if that's the case. And I frankly thought that is, I don't know if that's the reason they lost the game, but to me that's the biggest contributor, frankly, was just the fact that like he didn't look the way that he's looked all year. They didn't play the way that they kind of played all year. It was a different, it felt like just a different game plan for some reason, even from when they played. And it's kind of funny because I talk about how like that game against Baltimore for the Bills didn't matter back in October. Why should this game, now 2 weeks ago matter? like, so this is going to kind of sound contradictory, but like, why did they not do what they did the first time around? Like,
Why was
it just seemed like they strayed away from what made the Bills' offense click this year.
James Cook sat on the
in the biggest game that they've had this
James
season.
Cook was on the sideline too much in that game.
Oh yeah.
I don't get that at all. Especially when he was running that game.
Yeah.
He was running the ball pretty well.
Yeah.
And you can say whatever you want about the QB sneaks or whatever. They don't push right.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen only goes left. Mm-hmm. Man, give the ball to James Cook, man. He's one of the I think he was a top 5 running back this year.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
I personally think he was top 5. And he had a great year. He's what made the Bills' offense. You can say what you want about Josh Allen, and he did a great job, but James Cook was one of the main reasons for that offense being so successful this year. And a little disappointed. You could say, I mean, it's Andy Reid outcoaches a lot of coaches. Mm-hmm. He's one of the great coaches. You could say he outcoached McDermott in this game. But you can't fire McDermott. I've heard some people say that.
See, now that's where I also...
Who are you going to get?
Right. Well, that's the thing, right? You're pretty late in the cycle now for that.
It's just...
I will say this. Something's got to change there. And I get it. I had this discussion on Monday in this very studio about it. And I get, like, cool... Like, it's trust me, it's great. You made it this far along, and that's good and everything and whatever. And we were even talking about a different sport off air, or Nick, before I almost called you Kyle for a second, before we came on air about another sport and team in particular, and it's like, I get it. You made it to that point in the playoffs. It's great, no matter what. I get that. This is the 4th time in 5 years their season's been ended by the Chiefs. 2nd time in that, or 3rd time now, I guess technically in that place. At some point, something's gotta change. Yeah. Like, and I don't think it's necessarily at this point a McDermott issue. I would make the case, frankly, that I don't think he did get outcoached by Andy Reid. I thought coaching wise they were on a very equal plane on Sunday, from the way I looked at it. However, if you're the Bills, I don't think you can go into this offseason and play it like you did this past offseason. I think you have to be aggressive. I think you have to go and get a T. Higgins.
They need a receiver.
You have to go out and get I'm trying to think of a couple other guys who might be kind of either will be available or not available. Like, you know what I mean? Like, T. Higgins, I think, has to be the number one guy that they have circled.
Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, Waddle will be actually available. Yeah. Guys who we kind of think are always kind of quasi-available to some degree. I mean, like, Chris Godwin's going to be a free agent, but, like, I don't know. I don't know what he's going to obviously look like, and now we're getting into probably a podcast for a different time. But, like, if you're the Bills, right, like, I don't think you can go out and get bypassed in free agency this year like you did the past, frankly, couple off seasons. If I'm being totally honest. They've done a lot of, whether it's in the draft, which is good, don't get me wrong. It's good that you went through the draft and everything and you built that way. But, like, look, you're one of Keon Coleman for him, even for a rookie standard, probably a bit of a flop, right? You know what I mean? And the worst part about it is, right, you traded out of that spot with Kansas City, and they ended up with Xavier Worthy, who ended up being the leading receiver in the AFC Championship game.
And last year when they lost to the Chiefs, we said the window might be closing.
Yeah.
The window is not closing. When you have Josh Allen as your quarterback, the window is always open.
Yeah.
Go out there and put a team around him.
Right.
Obviously, when you get that contract, things get a little difficult, and it's hard.
But his contract's not that
too bad. No. You got to go out and get a receiver. Like Mac Hollins is a fan favorite this year.
Yeah.
But Mac Hollins, he's been around. We know who he is.
He's a wide receiver 3.
He is.
And I love Khalil.
Josh Allen makes him better than he is.
I love Khalil Shakir, but he's not really a wide out one.
They need a wide out one.
Yeah.
And they had one with Diggs, and they were very successful. Chiefs just were a lot better then, in my opinion.
And you bring up the Chiefs too. Like, look, I don't think the Chiefs are going to allow to have happen this year what happen again next year. I think they're going to be aggressive as hell in free agency as well.
They want to get better.
Yeah.
And it's not just the Bills. It's Lamar Jackson and the Ravens saying the same thing. Houston, Texas, that's 2 years in a row they've lost.
Yeah.
Well, lost. Last year was the Ravens.
And
but
to be fair, we'll have to probably say the Bengals too.
yeah, there was just the one that beat them once.
Yeah.
And they got to the Super Bowl and didn't win the Super Bowl. Yeah. They're just playing in a wrong time. I mean, look at some great. They've been doing comps like Patrick Ewing. He played in the Michael Jordan era. He just couldn't get over the hump. There's a lot of people and there's
Yep, it's back.
And like the Pacers, they were a great team when LeBron's there when he was with the Heat. You know,
Even then, I mean, like the Reggie Miller too, bring it up to the 90s, but like
you just sometimes you play in the wrong eras.
it's funny because it's funny. It was actually a racing podcast I heard this from because one of the hosts is a Bills fan. He brought the fact that like we still might have the better quarterback technically. They might. I mean, this year especially, you're probably taking Josh over Mahomes for the most part. But like, it's just one of those things where you wish it for whatever reason it was either the best teams just end up in the Super Bowl or you end up in another division. But it's just a case of like, damn, we're in the same era as this dude in the same conference. Like, what can you do?
Yeah,
You know.
and it sucks. It's the second year in a row we repeated a recent Super Bowl, and it gets a little dull. You know, it's like, yeah, there's some storylines. Saquon trying to get his first ring. Can they go for the 3-peat?
Well, the 3-peat I think is
the number
probably
one.
the main one. It's never happened in the NFL. The last 3-peat in pro sports were the Lakers in 2000 through 2002. Trying to think, when was the last attempt at the 3-peat? Was it Golden State, I think, maybe? Or even then, though, I don't think they made it to the finals.
And we haven't seen a 3-peat in any sports. Well, I can't.
The Lakers. I said that.
But like UConn women's basketball, I guess.
I was thought, well, from the pro,
side.
I guess it depends the way you look at it, too, because, like, Jimmy Johnson in NASCAR,
There's been plenty.
yeah.
I'm sure there's like some equestrian teams that's won like 7 years in a row that I don't know about. But
Does the European team in the Ryder Cup in Europe count?
yeah, I know, seriously. But like in the professional sports, yeah, it hasn't been since the Lakers, and I'm pretty sure the Celtics did it back in the day.
Well, I'm talking just recency. Well, yeah,
They win 10 in a row.
The Yankees too. I mean,
Yeah.
well, I was talking about that. I mean, sure, but like I think that's the funny part about the Lakers. Pat Riley has a 3-peat trademark.
How many UCLA basketball win in a row?
Oh, jeez, I don't. Even,
That one might be 10. Could you imagine living through that era?
I mean, that was the era though where you had to have big guys, and they always end up with the good big guys, and
Tournament wasn't as
You know.
big though, right? I don't think so.
no, I think it was 32. Actually, no, towards the end it was 64, but yeah, I mean,
Never forget those 65.
most of it was 32.
Remember when it was 65? The one plan
I liked it better.
at 64?
5.
Oh, right.
We've been over this. The play-ins, if you're going to do a play-in, this might as well be the 16 seed. I don't know why the play-in's got to be an 11 seed.
I like the at-large
know.
plan, but
If you're going to expand the NCAA tournament, just go to what was the next side that technically got it even, like 96 or something. I don't know, but
that's too many. But 3-peat would be special. It'd be something we haven't seen before in pro football. And I mean, I'm not going to pick against them. I'm not going to pick them next week.
well,
But
it's for next week anyway.
I don't see anyone beating them. They just have mastered football. They know how to win games, and you can't argue with that. Even though they got murdered by the Broncos the last game, a little concerning there.
Yeah, if we got Carson Wentz in there. All right. Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll do Super Bowl talk really next week. There's nothing necessarily to discuss this week, only because we have the lines out. I mean, 1.5 right now, or a point, depending upon where you look. So it's like whatever. But either way, that's for next Wednesday. We'll update though quickly our picks. I went 0-2 last week. Nick, you went 1-1, so you're within a game. 7-6 for you, 8-5 for me. So you need to rally off some kind of thing here in the tiebreak scenario if it comes down to it to win the championship.
Don't I get 8 points for picking Madison Keys?
No. No, you did not.
I didn't pick her.
No. But you did pick the New Jersey Devils to win the Stanley Cup. So,
Yeah, sure, I'll take it.
Yeah, this is now the part of the podcast, this episode, where I'm just kind of calling a whip around of different sports, kind of whatever comes to mind here.
What do you thought the Tiger getting the TGL win? First one.
So I completely forgot it was on Monday this past week.
Yeah, it's like Monday.
So it's funny. I end up I went shopping Monday after work, kind of what I usually do, just to get stuff for the week and get home, settle in, and
I'm really there.
all of a sudden I'm like, why is TGL on Monday? And I've already missed like a good portion of it at this point. I'm like, damn, I missed it. And I get why they did because of college basketball yesterday and everything like that. But like, I was like, damn. And then I remember like, oh yeah, they did say it was going to be Monday this week. I'm like, that's on me. But like, the fact that they've already ingrained in my brain that it's supposed to be Tuesday night, someone's working there at least. You know what I mean?
A lot of people thought that.
Yeah.
Just every Tuesday night.
Yeah.
But overtime, thoughts? Did you see the overtime?
I did not see overtime.
So it's best of 3.
Okay.
3 players each.
No way.
Yeah, so I mean, each game or whatever is the one player.
Yeah.
You do it in order, whatever you want. It's best of 3. It's like 30 yards out. You chip it. Whoever's closest to the hole wins the one round. And you got to do best of 3.
Kind of like that.
And Tigers team won both.
I like that.
It's green's difficult, so you just chip it, and whoever's closest to the hole,
Yeah.
2 out of 3 wins overtime.
I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Tiger never got a chance to go because they swept him, but still cool. It was the first finally competitive match.
Yeah.
Felt like. Low scoring.
Week 1 was competitive-ish.
3-3, low scoring. I mean, that's how. There's a lot of chances it's going to be tied. The holes will tie. The hammers were being thrown like crazy. Apparently last week.
I do love the hammer.
Yeah, and you knew they were going to throw it because Rory and Tiger is probably the one that came up with the idea.
Right.
And I guess there was like no hammers the week before, which was kind of crazy. I don't know how you not throw the hammer.
Week 2, there was hammers left and right.
Yeah. But I like it. Big win for Jupiter. Tough loss. Boston was the last team to play. So Jupiter's in the playoff picture right now. Top 4 of the 6 teams make the playoffs. So
It's good for them.
there's like a triple header coming up here too. So
Yeah. I do have breaking baseball news. Sung Kim signed with the Rays, 2-year deal.
wow,
So
this isn't the Padres guy.
no, that's him.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Who? The other? There's like another Kim, like a
Oh, you're talking about the guy the Dodgers signed, right?
Dodgers guy, the infielder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the Dodgers. So this is the Padres guy.
Yeah. This is
The
the
little player.
this is the Sung Kim that's been here before.
Yes. Are they both Sung Kim?
No.
But this guy's a good player.
Yeah.
The Padres one. He played shortstop. Also, did you happen to see Junior Caminero in the
Oh my good God.
that fucking bat flip?
I loved it.
I'm sorry for swearing.
You're good.
But
Reset your
that
clock
bat
now.
flip was unbelievable.
So, I mean, it's kind of crazy because like I got I had multiple people actually message me that video on like Instagram and shit, and like I love it. You know who the manager of the team is? This is
Albert
the crazy
Pujols.
part about it is Albert
I saw it
Pujols
on
is the
MLB Network.
manager. It's the manager of the team.
But also that picture with the bat flip. That bat,
Oh,
that bat is so high in the air. And they
that's
just
the crazy
celebrate. They don't care that it's coming down.
that's the crazy part.
Also, it was a home run in the ninth inning to take the lead. It took them almost a minute to round the bases.
Yeah.
And then there was a game walk-off catch,
Yep.
diving catch. Crazy stuff. Also,
I love it.
the Caribbean Series starting,
I love
this,
it.
starting
Yep.
this weekend.
That's on MLB Network too.
Some players in it. Johnny Cueto's in it.
Oh yeah.
Billy Hamilton's in it. From Mexico.
Fernando Rodney's. Well, I don't think that Rodney's in it, but yeah. Rodney.
Japan's in it.
It's weird how they do it, but like, yeah, it's kind of combined of all like the winter league. So whoever wins the country's respective winter league has a spot in it, type thing. I love Lead'em. That's great. I mean, that's how I know like Fernando Rodney's still kicking around. Jumbo Diaz. I don't know if Jumbo pitched this year, but
He's still recovering from the game he went to.
you have mental thing anytime you
just
hear
keeps
Jumbo.
hearing it. Jumbo, you suck.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's big that's going to be on LB Network. I'm looking forward to it. I love watching the Caribbean series. I get it's extreme in that sense. I mean, obviously of celebration stuff like that, but that's just the culture of it, man. And I'd rather it be something like that than just some boring here's the 2-2, and it's strike 3.
Yeah, seriously. But Dodgers keep spending money, though.
Yeah.
They get Kirby Yates officially yesterday. And we've known about that. But who's going to be a closer?
Well, we know it's not going to be Josh Hader or Ryan Presley. Did you see the whole entire deal involving that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that after the Dodger thing.
Yeah.
I would think.
I'd go Scott.
Well, the weird part is, I feel like knowing Roberts, he'll platoon it.
Yeah.
Like, if you have like a lefty heavy block coming
Probably,
up,
that's
I
probably
think
what he's
it's
gonna do.
Scott. If it's right, I think it's going to be Yates /
Well, that's the.
How long is Gratterall out for?
Oh,
Broussard, Gratterall. Is he out for the year or?
I don't know.
Yeah, either way, it's probably going to be a platoon of like Yates and Scott. Yates is probably the primary still technically. Tanner Scott never even closed in Miami,
The thing about that, the bullpen was like their one weakness last year,
and even then,
and now they put those two up.
yeah,
Great,
yeah.
I would say great reliever in today's game.
And I mean, we talked about this separately like a week ago, but like they're going to have to find like Gonsolin's probably going to be a bullpen guy. I mean, they got a number of guys that they're going to have to try and figure out like what to do with.
I think they're not signing Kershaw.
I think both sides want to, but like if you're the Dodgers, and they still have to figure out what to do with like a couple of guys anyway, but like if you're the Dodgers, would it make more sense to have Kershaw or Dustin May? Now, I personally would say Dustin May at this point. I don't know if that's how they view it, but I know how optically I would view it if they were to just trade off Dustin May in order to bring back Kershaw on a one-year deal when Kershaw didn't really pitch much last year, and he hasn't been the same guy in a number of years.
I think he's over the hill.
I think Kershaw probably ends up in like Texas on a one-year deal and just.
They love taking those type of pitchers.
Well, he's from the area down there. He said that if he were to go anywhere else, it'd be Texas only because it's hometown and to be one more thing. I don't know how much Kershaw realistically has left in the tank. It helps, I think, that he's got obviously the curveball, but like he's something to throw besides a curveball.
But going back to Ryan Presley,
Yeah.
he's
So
wasn't happy with
the relationship being strained all year, and then it finally comes out that the fact that they signed Josh Hader, him and I guess Dana Brown just did not talk at all year. So kind of surprising too that he didn't use that he exercised the no trade clause to Kansas City, and was it Kansas City? And there was one other team he used it on.
didn't want to go there.
No, St. Louis maybe. I think it was St. Louis, but like.
Not a Kansas, Missouri guy.
But like, why would you take the Cubs one then, though? But either way, if you want to get out of a situation bad enough, like I just waive your no trade clause, dude. Like,
So he goes to the Cubs,
yeah,
and Kyle Tucker's there,
yeah, forgot about that too. Yeah,
and I mean, I think Ryan Plessy's he's also kind of washed.
yeah,
He's kind of going downhill. You kind of look forward to it when he goes into the game.
yeah.
Josh Hader can be sketchy at times, but he's a little bit better than Presley as of right now.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean he was the closer there. I mean so I don't understand Yates. He like took a decent amount of money, not great, but it's pretty good for reliever money. And
How do you think they're going to defer the $12 million?
it's like, does he not care about his job anymore? Like now he's not even an official closer anymore. Like. Presley cared about being the closer for the Houston Astros. He appreciated the role. These guys are just going to the Dodgers. They don't even care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, put me as a seventh starter. I don't care. I just want to win a championship and make money. It's like, don't people care about their job anymore?
Yeah, I don't. And you know, I didn't anticipate doing this today again, but like, I laugh at people who say outright salary cap when the salary cap is not going to solve this outright. That's just the way it is. The teams who are going to spend are still going to spend. They're just going to limit it, but like the teams who aren't going to spend still aren't going to spend. I mean, It's just the way it is.
You want
look
to
at the perfect example of that right now is look at the NBA. Like De'Aaron Fox is essentially told Sacramento, like, don't bother with me. You know, you can use your funds elsewhere.
Yeah.
Type thing, right? Like, and because he knows, like, they won't spend to do whatever outside of him when need be. Although they have Sabonis, so it'd, like, work, but like, he knows that they just won't spend what needs to be done.
Also, I had a good time in New York City. Kings don't play a lot of defense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an offensive heavy ball team right there.
Yeah.
So
saw a lot of points.
yeah.
Which was good, and they won. Cassidy Pope was doing the national anthem, winner of The Voice.
Good to see the Who finally got leveled.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Delay like that. I've seen a lot of interesting things at sporting events. Let's go up there.
How was this trip for New York City for you? I saw you end up in a billiards hall at one point. I mean, this is
At New York City
some
pizza.
this newfound territory for you, this trip.
Yeah, I always try to find another bar, one I haven't been to. I don't think I've ever repeated a bar at New York City. You go to any other city I've been to that bar a couple times. New York City, it's always new ones.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't remember where the other ones were, but it's so big. But yeah, it's always a good time. It's traffic's not that bad. People always freak out about it, especially on Sunday morning.
It's all relative, too.
Sunday morning, you can just fly out of there.
Yeah.
So, but it's cool to see the Knicks, and they're playing well. Should be an exciting rest of the season here.
Yeah. Alrighty. I don't think there's really anything too much else to go into further discussions about. I know you said off air we got NASCAR does start this weekend. Got the exhibition, Clash at the Coliseum.
And then we got the duels.
So, no, that's next week. Or no, that's 2 weeks from now. So,
What's going to happen? Now you brought up the subject about the start of the NASCAR season. If the NFL season moves their season back, is Daytona 500 getting pushed back?
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think NASCAR was kind of waiting to see if it actually happens first.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be pretty interesting. Now, it only really works with Fox here on the years that Fox has the Super Bowl. Kind of doing a doubleheader of sorts.
Would you think the ratings would do well if they put it on the afternoon?
Yeah, if they doubleheadered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently that's been discussed if that's going to happen. I
feel
think
like they'd be pretty good.
I think with Fox it'd do obviously really well, like I mentioned, but Fox would have to have the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
once every 3 years that happens. Obviously, Fox has the
game this year.
first half of the NASCAR TV rights, so they've had the Daytona 500 every year since 2007.
I feel like with the Super Bowl parties going on all afternoon long, people would think about throwing the NASCAR on over the pregame.
Yeah.
And the pregame gets a little boring sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Or the puppy bowl.
it would solve a lot of things too that NASCAR fans have complained about. I mean, they don't like the fact the 500 now starts at like 3 o'clock. It used to be a noon start. I mean, I remember it was a noon start. I was at races that it was a noon start.
I do like the Monday starts, even though it has to deal with rain. But yeah.
Correct, yeah. And that cost me in Michigan this past year. But, you know.
Yeah, I don't remember that. But the Bowman, how you feeling about this thing?
Bowman? Alex Bowman? No, you're talking about Bowman Gray.
Yeah.
The stadium.
Where is this?
It's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It's one of the oldest NASCAR tracks, period. So, despite its name, Bowman Gray Stadium, it's a racetrack. It does host football. Winston-Salem State, a Division II school, plays their home football games there. It's a old school short track bull ring, man. It's called the Madhouse. Drivers there who race there weekly put on a show, as I call it, and I'll leave it at that because I frankly think throwing fistfights and chasing each other through the infield is not racing. But I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be interesting. You got some modified guys running in the Cup Series race, the clash for it. Tim Brown, Burt Myers, two main ones who have raced at Bowman Gray, who track champions at Bowman Gray and the modifieds who will be running in the clash. So looking forward to it. It will be interesting. I don't think this is a one and done deal. However, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like the LA Coliseum where it's a few years and see what ends up happening at that point. Still selfishly would probably prefer it back at Daytona, but I get why we're doing it, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it'll be interesting.
We'll see your boy Bubba and Chase Elliott. My guy Chase Elliott at Barstool yesterday.
I did see that. We'll see. I think those episodes usually come out on Thursdays, so we'll see how well it does. I know.
My favorite drivers united.
Yeah. We'll see how it turns out. Chase, I always worry about in those scenarios because he just doesn't like doing whatever. So, all right, I think that's about it. So,
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, no, hey, thanks for having me, Nick. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Who are you shouting out today?
I'm gonna shout out 2024 Jerry One Fantasy Baseball Champion Kurt Ireland. I see his birthday's on Monday. I'll make sure Monday. Yeah. So shout out Kurt Ireland.
All right. Oh, by the way, Friday night you're in Newark, right, for the boys?
Is that where the boys are?
Yeah.
I forget it's Waterloo. Newark. Yeah.
I know you're there. We're going to be at Waterloo for the girls' end of that game or battle, whatever. We got games scheduled here. We're getting to the nitty gritty for high school basketball. So looking
A
forward
lot
to
of
that.
non-league games I noticed in the middle of the week.
Yeah, I think it's just because of the way midterm fell with like Martin Luther King Jr. week and a couple more independents in the mix too now. So I think that kind of does that.
Just a little over a month till sectionals. The sectional,
Under.
Well, yeah, the sectional finals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, we're under I think 20 days technically. I think that's what Kyle was telling me. Shout out
I
Kyle.
think we got a shot at a couple local teams making a run.
Yeah, I think sectional run. Yeah, I don't know about beyond that this
State
year,
run.
but yeah, it's been an interesting year. But that's a different podcast for a different time for high school basketball. So, and the greater economics and socioeconomics of the Finger Lakes. So, we'll get out of here then on this point. Really appreciate everybody for listening in and tuning in. Luckily for us, we did get to do this live on a Wednesday afternoon at our usual time this week. And that will be the plan again next week. So like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff over on FingerLakes1.com YouTube channel and major podcast platforms such as Spotify, Amazon Music, the like.
You don't get your software updates, on these
yeah.
other day episodes. So
I don't
good to be
understand.
back.
I don't understand that one because, there's no Apple software on that computer anymore, so I'm concerned.
Good to be back.
Yeah, good to be back on Wednesday. We'll see everybody again next Wednesday on the live side, and we will chat again. Enjoy the weekend, everybody.